I'm Brad Rodriguez from Fix This Build That, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to use your planer. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about how to align it, set it up, and maintain it. After I made my video on 6 ways to reduce planer snipe, I got a ton of questions on social media about how do I set up my planer, how do I maintain it, how do I align it, and what should I look for if I'm buying a used planer. So I'm going to cover all those items and more today, and I'm also going to have some follow-on series on how to use your planer. So let's check it out and see what you can do to get more value out of your planer. The planer that I have and I've been using for about 10 years now is this TP13002 13-inch portable planer from Rigid, the sponsor of today's video. So the first thing that we're going to do is check the infeed and the outfeed tables and make sure that they are level with the bed and make any adjustments as necessary. So before I start working underneath the planer, the most important thing is make sure your planer is unplugged before you do any work near the cutter head. To adjust the infeed and outfeed tables, I'm going to lower them both down below where I know that they're not level. Then I'm going to put this 4-foot level through there, clamp it down with the cutter head, making sure that a knife is not there in the way. So that's it right there. It is just enough to be locked in place, but I'm not trying to put too much pressure on it. Just enough that cutter head is clamping it in between the bed and the cutter head. Now I'm going to raise up these tables and I'll be level. I've got the left side of my tables level. Now I'm going to take the cutter head off and clamp it down on the other side and adjust the nuts and the bolts on the other side as well. Now what I found is that if I pull these infeed and outfeed tables up to the level while it is clamped down by the cutter head, then when I let it loose, the tables will spring up a bit. So this infeed table is good. This is right where I want it. It is about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch higher on the front edge, which gives me this gap here to the bed. This is going to help you reduce planer snipe by having the front and the back a little bit higher. And you can hear all about that in my reducing planer snipe video as well. The infeed and the outfeed tables are all aligned just where I want them. So now I'm going to move on and go to the thickness adjustment and make sure that that is tuned in right where we need it. So to check the thickness gauge, I got a few things here to help me out. I've just got a little piece of poplar and I'm actually going to plane that. I got some calipers to measure how thick the board is. And of course, I've got my safety equipment. Make sure that you wear hearing protection and safety glasses whenever you're using the planer. So right now this board is a little over 3/4. It's actually right around 25-30 seconds, which would put that 1/32 over 3/4. So we're going to plane it down and then adjust it accordingly. I'm going to set it just over 3/4 and then start going. 1/4 turn equals a 64th on my planer, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. After that cut, we're at 49/64, so it's a 64th less than 25-30 seconds. And one more 1/4 turn, and we should be down to 3/4. Let's see what we got here. And also, we're going to be able to check to see if we're the same thickness from side to side as well, to see if the cutter head is truly aligned with the bed. So I've got 755 right here. On the flip side, I've got 756. In the middle, I have 751 and 753. And on the back, I have 755 and 754. Those measurements are good enough for me. Being within 0.04 of an inch all along the outside of that board in 6 different areas, I think is great. And it's great to see that also that board is the same thickness from left to right, again, within just a few thousandths. So I'm going to make sure that the thickness scale is where it should be, adjust that, and we will be tuned in across this entire board. That was a very minor adjustment for me. If anything, I think I locked it back exactly where I had it, honestly, because it was already set up. But that's how you do it. So that is the alignment and setup portion. Now let's talk about some maintenance of the machine. From the maintenance side, it's pretty easy as far as it's concerned. I'm going to get into blades in just a minute, but there's two other things that you want to keep an eye on, and that is your tables and bed as well as your rollers. To start off with, I've got some Johnson's paste wax. Any paste wax will work. I'm going to use that to wax the beds as well as the infeed and outfeed. That's just going to help that wood slide through. You want as little resistance as possible. And you just want to get a nice film on there, just like you're waxing your table saw or anything else. Let it set up, and then you can come back and buff it dry. All right, this looks good and set up. I'm gonna go ahead and buff this out. All right, I think that's gonna do it. You can take a little scrap block again, slide it across there. Slides nice and easy. That's gonna reduce friction and make the planing easier and not as much stress on the machine. The next thing I'm going to do is use the mineral spirits and a paper towel to clean the infeed and outfeed rollers. Sometimes they'll get some stuff caked on them, whether it's just chips or it's actually resin and pitch that get on them. So you want to make sure that those are free of debris, and you can do that pretty easily. I'm just going to take a little bit of mineral spirits on a shop towel and wipe it across that rubber roller. My rubber rollers are actually really pretty clean, not much buildup on these at all. This is what you're going to want to look at right here. Just look for debris and buildup. Now, again, watch your fingers for these blades as you're rubbing down the roller. You do not want to get cut. So what I'm mainly getting is just blackness just from that rubber roller, but mineral spirits is approved for cleaning the rollers on this machine and some other machines. But just check your manufacturer's description if they say don't use mineral spirits. So obviously you can only clean what you can see at the moment, so you will need to turn that roller. Sometimes I might actually have to turn the machine on and let it go and then get it in 2 or 3 different passes, turning the machine off and unplugging it each time. All right, now the last thing I want to talk about is the blades. So let's dig into that now. I've turned the planer around so we can see the backside. Now let's take a look at where the blades are and how to change them. Now my planer has this dust shroud, so I'm just going to take this off, and one more thumb screw that holds down this shroud that covers the blades. This is a 2-knife machine, so some of them are 3 knives. This is 2 knives, and this is held in by 7 bolts across there. I'm going to loosen those, and you can see it's just a little platen that is holding in these knives into the cutter head. I got the bolts that are holding the knives tight loosened up. There's this little tool that comes with my planer. It is a knife tool, and it's got a magnet on one side and a little hook on the other, and that's going to help me remove the knives. So here's the planer knife. A few things to note. It is double-sided, so all you have to do is flip it to get a clean edge. And they are also have indentations. I'm going to pull this bar out just so you can see it, what's holding in the actual knives. So here it is. This is just a bar that has some screws in it, and when you loosen the screws, it presses against the cutter head and holds the knife. So when you're changing blades, just make sure that this is all cleaned off and smooth, especially here on the back. And this groove in your cutter head where the knife blades go, just make sure that that is also cleaned out. So because these knives do have that indent there and you can't adjust the height necessarily, that means it's really hard to resharpen these, because when you get them resharpened, you'd have to have each blade resharpened to exactly the same height, or exactly the same amount taken out. It might work, but it might be a little bit off, and then you're not going to get a good cut. So that's how you take out the blades and how you would change them for a new set or to switch them around for the dual-sided. But when do you need to change your blades? So that's something that it's going to come with experience. But as you plane your boards, you're going to see a few things. One, if it starts slowing down, as you start hearing it slow down, it's also going to get louder. When the blades get dull, it's going to take a louder cut. You'll just be able to hear the whole machine just have a lot more effort than it did in the beginning. And it's going to be a gradual thing, so you're going to keep an eye on it. But the other thing you can look for is nicks in the blades. And it's easier to see that on the wood. It will come up as little ridges in the wood as it comes out. So I'm going to use a carpenter's pencil with the lead on there just to rub it over here, and you'll start to see the ridges shine up as the lead hits the high points. Okay, so right here, this is what we're looking for. These are the ridges, and we can actually feel those as they're slightly raised. And there's quite a few of them. It's just little tiny nicks throughout there. If you're getting too many ridges in your finished surface from those nicks in the blades, or if your machine's just really starting to struggle, it's probably time to change out those blades. There you go, guys, some ways to set up, align, and maintain your planer. I'm going to have a couple more videos coming on basic planing and advanced planing. Tell me down below in the comments, what do you want to see in those videos? What are some things that you'd like to understand about the planer? Now, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, I'd love to have you as part of the team. And until next time, guys, get out there and build something awesome.